All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for being here at our wastewater workshop. We have an online presentation with our group, Andy, and he's with Jacob and Martin. So is Andy online? Yes,
Yes.
yes. Andy, we certainly miss you because we're missing that music that comes with you. And with that, I'm going to call the workshop to order.
Yes, it is good to be with you today. So I appreciate y'all letting me do this remote here from San Angelo from our new office that we opened up probably 2-3 months ago. So can y'all hear me okay?
Yes.
We can hear you. Yes, thank you very much. And we see the
Okay.
PowerPoint.
Okay, great. And Gio, are you ready for the music?
I sure am.
Let's rock.
All right, we'll jump right into the presentation again, as usual. If you have any questions, please stop me. Don't hesitate. I like to have these presentations be interactive. I like to make sure that if there's any questions that y'all can ask them as we go, and don't hesitate on there. For the wastewater workshop, we're going to focus on two primary projects. One is the wastewater treatment plant improvements. We'll give an update and then let you know what we have remaining. And then the other one is the asset management plan, which we discussed 2 weeks ago. My intention on the asset management is to just provide another very brief overview and update, but focus in a little bit more on the asset management components, primarily for future budgeting. So Gio, if you could go to the next one, please. So for the wastewater treatment plant, the work has been had progressed quite a bit, and then it came to a standstill. Essentially, this equipment is specialized equipment. There's a company out of Pennsylvania that was doing the manufacturing of the equipment for the clarifier, and so in conjunction with their schedule that they presented to us months ago, they had to manufacture the mechanical equipment. There's some electrical work as they connect the mechanical equipment. So with regard to the scope of work is replace the mechanical equipment. I'll show you in a little bit. Some of that's been delivered. The electrical equipment and installation will need to occur once the mechanical equipment is all on site. They've already power washed the concrete. They've also done repairs to the concrete. They've coated the concrete. And then the last item is to replace the steps for the clarifier. That will come along later as well.
Okay, hey, Andy.
Yes.
Okay, so I noticed somewhere in the presentation that it says that they're gonna come back to this in November. Is that still the plan?
Yeah, the last I heard was early November. So from what I understand, most of the equipment has been delivered. If I remember right, fasteners, so just basically small equipment that's necessary to have the full mechanical equipment still needs to be delivered. I haven't checked in with Dowtech for an update, but I've not also heard anything. So if we get to early November and they don't show up, and if we don't hear anything, I'll certainly check back with them.
Okay, and how long do you estimate it'll take once they get rolling?
I believe it was about a 2-week estimate. I'm not sure if Richard Wiley was there at the workshop, but I know he's also talked to Dowtech as well.
Okay, and this might be, I'm not sure if it's for you, Andy, or for Victoria or Gio. We're using ARPA funds to complete this. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Is that what the $1,030,000 approximately is in our infrastructure reserve? Yeah, because I noticed in the reserve account that we had 1,030,000. Is that's this? No.
Because there are a couple of them.
I think the whole bill is like 1.7.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay, good. Thank you. All right, Andy, sorry. Continue on.
Okay. No worries. I was going to say my understanding was ARPA funds, but I know your city staff would have a better feel for the financials of the project.
Right. Oh, hold on, Andy.
So,
Victoria.
The ARPA funds have actually already been used.
Okay, so they're not the ones in the reserve.
No, ma'am.
No.
As a matter of fact, that was something that I was outlining. We, have almost depleted all of our ARPA funds.
Okay, that was just a curiosity question. Okay, thank you. All right, Andy?
Okay, and just to give council a little bit of reassurance, that photo was taken after this clarifier was taken offline. Clarifier 2, the only of the 2 clarifiers currently operating, basically had to shift some of the flow over to clarifier 1 due to, I think it was a mechanical failure, it needed a small repair. So you can kind of see what happens when a clarifier just sits there and isn't operating.
Yeah.
Back to you, have fun.
It doesn't look like that when it's operational, I assure you that.
Right,
Next slide,
looks
please.
pretty gross.
It's a
I have a
wastewater plant.
question. I have a question. So how long was it down?
That would probably be a better question for your staff.
Been
I'm
a long
thinking it's on probably a couple of years now.
Mike, your question?
But
How long was
do you have-
clarifier number 1 down?
It's been what, about 2 years?
They done
One,
it?
2 years. Yes, sir.
Wow.
I think it's a long time.
Something.
Yep.
So it just sat there and no one did nothing about it.
Oh, it's been down. In your box, everything is.
Okay, Andy, go ahead.
Okay, and so here's just a photo of some of the partial materials that have been delivered to the site, just to give council a verification that some of the materials have been there. Again, that's not all the materials that are on site, and it's not all the materials that will be finally delivered for Dow Tech to finish the work. Next slide, please. The concrete to the clarifier, as you can tell from that picture, has already been restored. All the mechanical electrical equipment were removed. The contractor went in there and did some spot repairs on the concrete. That went in there and also coated the concrete. So it is coated and ready to go for the new equipment. So that concludes the clarifier part. So again, that's the only part remaining. We also, with the 6 active sludge drying beds, numbers 4 through number 9, their contractor scope was to remove and dispose sludge, media, concrete, to replace the liner. You can see it's that black polyethylene material kind of in the background of the picture there. Replace the under drain, which is underneath the media. Do a full replacement of the media. Replace the concrete runners. So you can see one of the concrete runners in this photo is actually dislodged, and the runners are used by your staff to take their equipment out into the drying beds to help clean it off. And then 2 of the ramps were in disrepair, so they're being repaired as well. And then just miscellaneous concrete repairs whenever there's any sort of damage to the concrete. That was all part of the initial scope of the project. Next slide, please. And so this is a after construction photo. The scope of the work for sludge drying bed has been complete. Did a good job. I've been out there, I think, twice since it's been constructed. I've talked to Richard on multiple occasions. He said the media is doing really well. It's drying a lot faster than it was. Probably the biggest challenge he's having now is him being the only one on site, is you're getting some growth. And what's happening is the wind blows. And as you know, out in Alpine, there's a lot of brush and mesquite and things like that will brush in there. It'll start promoting some growth within the sludge drying beds. So it's a manual labor component to remove some of that, but he's doing a good job keeping up with that. But to clarify, or the sludge drying beds are certainly operating very well at the current time.
Hey, Richard, how do we take the sludge out?
You want to remind
Hold on, Andy. How do we take? Hold on, Andy.
Okay.
How do we take this?
We have to shovel it out and put it in, shovel it out.
What do you shovel it with?
We just
What do you shovel it with? So you literally use a shovel to shovel it? Wow, how long does it take to clean out a drying bed?
About an hour,
Oh, it's not bad. Okay.
depending on how much, we put in there.
Okay, so you're the only one out there, right?
Right.
Yeah. So do we have a position available for that?
We
To
do.
get him some help? Okay. Are we actually actively promoting it at this
Not
time?
at the moment, we want to integrate some of the water guys so they can get dual license. I think that's the vision. So we have a couple guys that sporadically go out there and we're kind of cross-training them. They've expressed some interest. And so we've kind of just taken they've taken the interest in it. So we're kind of stepping in that direction.
That's good. Cross training's good.
Yeah, so, yeah, I know, I hate leaving Richard out there, but, we kind of just I just try to go out there a little bit at a time, you know, a few times a week and try to. Get him alone, not from being too lonely and like, hey, Rich, man, I'm still with you, buddy, so. But we're trying to get some of the guys back in that, so get them cross-trained. Cause back in the day, to my knowledge, back in the eighties, and the early nineties, they had water and wastewater kind of dissolved into each other, but, I mean, it'd be interesting, like, it'd be good to cross-train these guys.
I agree. I'm
So
a
how
big
many
supporter of that.
employees were there before working? That now there's only one.
3 at one point. We ran 2 and then at times we would run 3.
How many drying beds do we have?
6.
So a total of 6. So 4 through 9 are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the 6. What happened to 1, 2, and 3?
They are offline and decommissioned.
And
Huh.
do we need more capacity or is 6 enough?
I think we need more.
And what would more do for you?
They'll keep our solids level down to where it needs to be, all the time.
Okay, and solids impact the level of affluent water that we can produce?
Yes, sir.
So the more drying beds you have, the more affluent water we can have. And probably you could move from a type 2 to a type 1,
I believe so.
bacteria levels?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Why were they decommissioned, you know?
I think, the state had regulated like new rules, so they had to be built different. And, these were built a long time ago, so they didn't have like the same blueprint for it.
Okay.
New ones.
So we would have to do some overhaul. Okay.
Those have been covered up. And they're long gone.
Oh, so we'd have to start from scratch. I wonder how much a drying bed costs.
Yeah, hey, Andy, do you know?
And Andy, I had to mute you because we were experiencing some feedback, so if you could unmute yourself, please. Thank you.
Okay.
So, hey, Andy, what's a drying bed cost ballpark? Hey, Andy, what's a drying bed cost ballpark?
Ooh, gosh, off the top of my head, I don't know. I do know, and I was actually looking up as I was listening to the conversation, that Jacob and Martin did a preliminary report back around 2020, I believe it was. And I was trying to find it. I know we had other recommendations for sludge processing beyond just drying beds. I think we were looking at like a belt filter press, if I remember right. And that was included as part of that report.
So we bought a belt press a long time ago to do the same thing. A long time ago to do the same thing. What's the status of the belt press other than you're ignoring? What's the status of the belt press other than you're ignoring?
The
Is
belt
that
press,
question addressed to me?
the belt press,
Mike has it.
I spoke to.
Mike has it.
Okay, good, because I was gonna say, I can only report what the staff have told me.
we purchased that belt press. We purchased that belt press.
Hey, Andy, we're experiencing some feedback. Hey, Andy, we're experiencing some feedback.
I think they have 2 computers with sound on. I think they have 2 computers with sound on.
So we're getting an echo. Yeah, there you go.
Shall we try it again?
So
Well,
we
he's
turn it off.
currently muted for now.
So
Okay, okay. All right, go ahead, Mike.
Purchased that belt press maybe 6 years ago, if I'm not mistaken, and it works well. You just have to really have somebody babysit it. Well, it works. I wouldn't say well, it works. But in order for it to be efficient, you have to have somebody stay on top of it, constantly. It takes polymer.
Yep.
And it decants that way, and then you put it into a roll off, and then you call TDS with one of those 10 roll off we said within our contract to take it to the landfill. And so that's what we were doing for a while, but it's just, it's really labor intensive because you have to have, just eyes on it and manipulate the controls quite a bit at all times.
I understood it when I was on, before I turned back, came back, it froze one year. Was that ever fixed or it's still got broken valves?
It's been repaired.
It has been repaired.
Yes,
So it really is a cost intensive operation. And so if you look and say, hey, it's a belt press cost you X in terms of labor versus 3 more drying beds, that's probably a pretty simple financial calculation. And should we sell the belt press?
I would think so. At this point, it's just, it is worth something to somebody, but right now it's a pretty much a paperweight at this point.
Yeah.
But you're right on that. The drying beds is a great system. It's a great technology.
Yeah.
You know, especially with this environment, the
Uh-huh.
desert wind will dry it quick, fast, and in a hurry.
Mhm.
So Gio, you may want to put that up for auction. With the belt press, get these guys to go
Okay.
clean it up. You know, make it look pretty, show it operates, see what we can get out of it, then put cash right back into it. And then decide whether you want to go build the other 3 drying beds or not.
Okay.
All right, and before we continue, I wanted to address Councilmember Lucas. If you have anything you want to make a comment, just pop in, please, okay? Yeah, he can unmute himself, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. That sounds good.
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with the whole system. I've gone out there and taken a tour with Mike and Rich at one point, and so I'm pretty caught up with where we're at and what's going on.
Okay, all right, but if there's anything you have questions for Andy or whatever, please.
Yes,
Jump
ma'am.
in.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So really quick, going back on the whole cross training stuff, right? So y'all are shorthanded to begin with, right? Would it be easier to try to find, you make more sense to try to find somebody else because you're pulling away from guys, from different departments to try to cross train, and it sounds like, I mean, really need someone out there with Rich, like
Yeah,
full time.
Richard, that's a great point, and yeah, I guess we haven't really dove into that, I guess, but you're right, we are kind of spread thin.
Yeah,
It might be best just for us to hire somebody for the wastewater. plant.
yeah,
Right,
I
I
mean,
can
I
see
get the whole
that.
cross training thing, I mean, it'd be great, to help out and stuff like that, but that's just to help out.
Sure.
But finding someone permanent to work under Rich over here and learning the ins and outs, and that's her job,
Yeah.
then that helps out a ton, So I don't
Yeah,
know,
that's
just my
true.
2 cents.
That's
I mean,
true. That's true. It's very true. I mean, you're already spread thin. You were out till 5 something this morning working on water leaks. I mean, yeah.
And what if, Richard is out? Then who's gonna be there? I don't
I
know.
have a C license, so I go,
Mike,
like every other weekend, I'll take it and then Rich takes it. So, we have a couple of guys that, we kind of are training to come in for the weekend.
So are y'all working on everybody to get their licenses or certain individuals to get licenses? Are all licenses, are they all up to date or any gonna?
As far as wastewater, Rich and I are the only ones that have wastewater. If a couple guys want it, express interest, we can take them to get their basic water, their wastewater rather. And then, we have a few guys that have already taken their class. They're gonna try to challenge the D license on the water side, so.
But I'm not, okay, so but I mean, are all our licenses right now up to date, everybody up to date, or are there some that
For
need to go
wastewater? For
waste
wastewater?
and on your side, the water department side? I mean, now that we're
Yeah,
we're
no,
talking about this, might as
no,
well
good
open it up
question.
for everything.
That's great. Actually, Rich and I, Dominic, Rubio. I think that's it. Everybody else is pretty new and they've already gone through their year. So we're trying to get them, they've taken their basic water class. And so that we're gonna try to get them to to challenge the D here in the next month or so.
Mhm.
How can we help you to recruit more people or hire more people?
Well, actually, I have two that, I have one part-time guy that used to work for the city and, for the water department. And he wants to get on full-time, so we're gonna try to get him on full-time if it's feasible within finance. and then somebody else. So we're trying to get two full on the water side. So
So,
that may help, I guess to answer that question, Rich, if we put a little more, then we can start going towards, getting the guys to the wastewater plant, but I think that's a great point, you know.
so like Rich, could that be a low level job, your lower levels where we were talking about the other day about the whole GED getting kind of dropped just to get a body filled in, plus, they're working towards their GED and things
Yeah.
like that. I mean, right now, if water department's got 4 or 5 guys and somebody wants to work, it'd be like, well, right now we ain't got nothing, but you can start off at, the wastewater. And, if something pops up, then maybe we can transfer you, or who knows, maybe you'll like it out there and, stick
Yeah,
with it.
we could absolutely do that.
And speaking of the GED, were you able to hire that young man back?
We're trying to right now, Victoria's gonna see if it's within the budget, but, not today, no, Brian Sherman was the one, and then, he's a part-time, we're trying to.
Okay.
Replacements, I believe we should be okay.
Okay. All right, Andy?
Okay, one thing just to add to that conversation is we were talking about the belt filter press option. Is for the last at least 3 years that I know of, we've been submitting a PIF on an annual basis, Texas Water Development Board, to seek funding for the remaining recommended improvements at the wastewater treatment plant. So far, the city's not been selected, but that is something I think even in the asset management plan, we recommended to continue doing so. That way, and if money becomes available, you can certainly seek the funding on that. With regard to the current treatment plant improvement project, we did have a change order number 1 that was executed back in June. There was no net change to that contract price. All it did is it reduced the line item for sludge drying bed concrete repairs and by 8,400, and added an 8,400 into electrical improvements that are necessary to provide the proper electrical protection for the clarifier number 1. When we designed the project, as you can imagine, there's a lot of electrical things that are unknown, a lot of electrical things that are underground. There was definitely some unknowns, and then once the contractor got in there and started doing some investigation, some of the things that we were not aware of from a design standpoint, we found out later. And these are things that we would not have been able to know unless a contractor had been in place and had tested some of these things. Are there any questions on change order number 1?
Nope. Nope.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so through pay application number 4, this is the current status of what's been paid out to the contractor. There is 25% remaining on that line item for the repairs and replacement of clarifier 1. The contractor today has not submitted any request for payment for concrete repairs. I've emailed him probably 2 or 3 times over the past few months, asking for him to do so. But the concrete repairs are based on time and materials. So for them to get paid for any portion of those line items, they had to submit receipts for the materials and they had to submit timesheet requests. I don't know if they're gonna request some of that or if they're just including that as part of their lump sum bid items, but it is something they may request payment for in the future. And then, of course, the electrical improvements that were part of change order number 1. Are there any questions on the improvement project? Okay, we'll jump into the AMPS project. If you remember, that's the asset management program for small systems. Condense the number of slides I didn't feel it was necessary to go through the full presentation that we had last time. And I did want to focus on the asset management component. As a reminder, we're looking at the wastewater treatment plant, the collection system, which consists of the pipes, the manholes, and the lift stations. Next slide, please. So this is a summary of the tasks that have been completed to date. This is a repeat slide. We had the project kickoff meeting. We submitted a draft report, which consisted of the 5 sections to the Texas Water Development Board back in April. We did host one GIS training on May of 22nd of 2025. Next slide, please. We received the review comments from Texas Water Development Board back in August, and then we submitted the final reports for asset management, the emergency response plan, sustainable systems manual, operation and maintenance manual, and compliance manual, both to the city and Texas Water Development Board on September 17th. And of course, we had the presentation at the City Council on October 7th, 2025.
With
Next
music.
slide. So the future tasks, the signs and data certification and presentation. We do have the certification that was passed around. Geo was going to be providing a copy of the minutes from the council meeting. And so Geo, just whenever you have a chance to send those along, I'd appreciate it. We will have additional GIS training. We're working on scheduling that. The all hands staff training has not been completed yet. I need to coordinate with Jacob and Martin staff and then coordinate with the City of Alpine staff so that way we can have that done. And of course, we have the 9-month follow-up assessments and report and presentation that will follow the training, follow the implementation of the recommendations in the reports. So as I mentioned earlier, I want to focus exclusively on asset management from our previous conversation at the City Council meeting. The other 4 systems, other 4 reports didn't get a lot of traction, and the asset management is really where the council needs to focus, primarily because of the financial impact it will have on the city. Next slide, please. So as a reminder, we use the TCEQ RG 530 spreadsheet that goes through and does all the asset management. We initially started getting all the assets working with the city staff. We worked together to get the age of them, the expected useful life, which is, we'll call it industry standard values. And then the spreadsheet calculates the remaining useful life, the amount of years until replacement refurbishment, and then the cost to replace is the future costs. So if, for instance, it's due to be replaced in 10 years, we took the present day value, used a inflationary estimate, and then looked at that cost for 10 years from the current date. The priority ranking, 1 is the most critical, 5 being the least critical, and then a lot of that has to do with the amount of time until it needs to be replaced. I mentioned this at the council meeting on the 7th, but just to reinforce, a lot of the $8 million plus that we were looking at as needing in replacement has to do with sewer pipes or sewer manholes that have exceeded the 50-year expected life. We'll discuss a little more about rehabilitation methods, as well as an opportunity to go in there and get a condition assessment. So this is the next worksheet of that RG 530, which is a comprehensive planning. And it takes data from worksheet 1 and it just uses it to populate it. And then the cost is the same, the years until an action, which is replacement or refurbishment is necessary. And number 5 there, the column 5 in yellow, that's the reserve required per year to be able to replace or to do the activity at the time of replacement. And so just looking at it for the wastewater treatment plant chlorine and sulfur dioxide equipment, it has 9 years until action is needed. That's based on the data in worksheet 1. Estimated cost of $5,574.74. And so that would be an estimated $619 per year reserves that are required to replace that equipment. Okay, this is the budget, and I'll be honest with you right now on my screen, I can't really see it. But basically what the budget did is it took the income and included some inflationary values plus estimated income over time, and just, if you will, spit out the calculations to show a surplus or a deficiency in the budget. And then this is the reserves per year that are necessary for each of the line items in the asset management plan. And it's only looking specifically at years 1 through 5, which if you will say year 0 is 2025, 2026 would be year 1, and it gives you the total that is necessary for those 5 years. And then this is just further calculations that are included in there. And it includes the deficit. The main thing here, which was discussed a couple of weeks ago, is that it is recommended to have a rate study completed in the near future. And that is the comparison of the revenue versus expenses. Year 0 is from the data the city has provided. And then again, looking at the expected annual income increase, which was very minimal, as well as the expenses, which was based on an inflationary value of 2.2% annually. You can see that spread between expected revenue and expenses just continues to grow over the 5-year period.
When was the last time we had a rate study?
Net reserves,
It's fairly
The last
recent.
time we had a rate study, it's fairly recent.
Few years ago, Communities Unlimited.
And my recollection of the budget, and I don't want to get into a budget discussion right now, though, but the 800,000 included 250,000 for CIP, is that correct? So that would say the baseline budget set aside capital improvements would be 800 minus 250, which is 550 then. We need to take a hard look at this in my view and really understand, but that's where I'm kind of looking at it. It's really 550. This is all capital. You know, honey, Dan, it's like 11 million bucks over 5 years. And so I think one of the things we need to take a hard look at is what's the real wastewater treatment budget, the ongoing set aside capital, and then look and say, okay, now what's the long-term capital requirements based on the study? Then look and say, okay, what are the implications from a rate standpoint? That'd be the logical way to work it.
Right.
Because I think people would then get it, so, okay, I get it. And then, what I heard, Andy, is you have a strategy about not spending or an alternative to spending the majority on, sewer lines and manhole covers by doing the bore out, put epoxy in or whatever. How much would that, if we went and did that, have you thought about how much it would reduce the roughly 11 million bucks?
So from what I recall, going off of these spreadsheets, this was about 9 million right here. And again, I'm in the conference room right now and it's a little hard for me to see, but I think that dollar amount was 8.8 or 8.9 million. And I think it reduced down to 2 point something million. So it'd be cutting back about 6 million plus or minus, specifically to sewer pipes and sewer manholes. So the recommendation would be to do an assessment on all the manholes and the pipes, seeing which need to be replaced or rehab, and then going with a cheaper alternative than just doing a full replacement.
And is that something you all, and is that something Mike and Richard are busy with on paper hangers? Mike and Richard are busy with on paper hangers.
Yeah, the condition assessment is not something we do, but I've worked with different contractors that go in there with cameras. They produce reports, and I've included a couple of these samples on the web or on this presentation here. I've talked to Richard and Mike a little bit about it. I do have some contacts with those contractors, primarily the ones that do the lining, the CIPP. And I'm sure I could get some contractors that they use that they would recommend to do the condition assessments.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so that shows again, it looks like about 2.2 million, 2.3. Sorry, I haven't heard time seeing it, but anyways, it does drop it down by over 6 million, about 6.5 million, that is specific to pipes and manholes that could be reduced by doing a condition assessment and also by some rehabilitation methods. Now, what that 2.2 or 2.3 million would increase to, it would depend on the cost of the condition assessment plus the recommendations, as well as getting a contractor on site. There is a contractor I worked with when I worked for the city of San Angelo. We use buy board. Generally, for them to mobilize, they want $1 million project or more. But depending on the condition of your pipes and manholes, you may not need any, you may need a decent amount. So really at this point, what that additional construction cost for rehabilitation is unknown until we have the condition assessment. Okay, so this is the implementation plan that was included. I'm sorry, was there a question?
Oh, sorry, it's just the feedback. We gotta get that one. Oh, sorry. We gotta get that one.
Okay. The implementation plan that was included in the asset management plan is to continue doing the asset management with the RG 530 spreadsheet. I mentioned that Richard and I and Mike have had conversations, probably after the first of the year. Richard can start using that RG 530. I'm more than happy to provide technical support and help him through the first time. Continue the budgeting process, looking at recommending the pipe and manhole condition assessment in 2026. I mentioned earlier about the grant low interest loan application through Texas Water Development Board. I would definitely recommend continuing to do that on an annual basis. And that is for the treatment plant. And then recommending a rate study after the manhole and pipe and manhole condition assessment. So that way you know what type of repairs are needed. So here's a photo of a sewer manhole and pipe inspection. They basically have a camera that they go through and put in the manhole. They go from one manhole to the next. A lot of these contractors that do this type of work have specialized equipment. They will provide you some sort of a media of the video. They'll have reports, and it provides a real good understanding. You can see where roots are coming in. You can see cracks and pipes. It's pretty fascinating, some of the output that they can provide. And then here's just a couple examples. I pulled these off the web. These are not from any project I've worked on, but a lot of these contractors will provide photo documentation. They'll provide a lot of good information that the city may not have now that you could use to actually populate inside the GIS. You can even take these reports and we'll call hot link them into GIS, where that way, if in the future, instead of going through paper records or a large PDF file, you could actually have it accessible. Of course, that would be dependent on the city staff's availability to update the GIS. But there's a lot of things that can be done with these reports and checklists for future planning and budgeting purposes. So from a rehabilitation standpoint, there's different types for manholes. There's epoxy, cement, there's resin types. I've personally had projects, epoxy and resin types. It all depends on the contractor, what they prefer. They'll usually redo what they call the bench, which is the bottom of the manhole, and then the line on the inside. So it works for brick manholes, concrete manholes, usually not fiberglass because those are usually in pretty good shape, but they're used for different types of manholes to restore them to a good working condition. And then there's multiple also sewer pipe rehabilitations. The first one, CIPP, cured in place pipeline, is what is shown in this picture here. And basically they have like a resin tube that they push through the existing pipe, and then they heat it up using either air or water, and it creates a new surface on the inside of the pipe. It has a very small impact on the diameter of the pipe. It has a smooth finish, but it'll fit and seal towards the inside of the existing pipe. There's also pipe bursting, where you're putting another pipe inside that pipe and basically breaking up the existing pipe, and it just replaces it. Slip lining is installing a new pipe inside that pipe, and then of course doing some sort of coating. Can council see me at the current time?
Not really. Now we
Not
can't. Really.
Okay. I have
Now
a
we can't.
I have a sample here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is a project that I did when I was with the City of San Angelo. The contractor actually provided a sample for me. They used new PVC pipe. And this is a sample of what the resin, the CIPP actually looks like inside of there. So it's a smooth finish. And it's a very, very small wall thickness. And provides a good extended life to the pipe. So I can provide a photo of that as well. I'm not sure if I have to Richard in the past, but I know him and I have talked about it. Okay, next slide, please. So here's the recommendations. Of course, annual presentation to City Council for the asset management, continue working on the RG 530. Budgeting on an annual basis, the pipe and manhole condition assessment, the low interest loans through Texas Water Development Board, rate study, maintain and update the asset management, and then implement a fiscal sustainability plan. And so those are the overall recommendations in the asset management report. And that concludes my presentation. Can you see me a little bit better now?
We can. Gio made you full screen just a second ago. Gio made you full screen just a second ago.
Okay, here's the pipe I was explaining. The green exterior is just, it was basically an extra piece of PVC the contractor had. And inside of here, and the thickness of it is from about here to here is the liner. It's a very thin liner. It's smooth on the inside for the most part. There's a little bit of a jagged edge here, but it's that resin that they push through the pipe, heat it up, and it adheres to the inside of the pipe. So again, this is just a kind of a sample. That way, City Council can see how the CIPP looks after it's finished.
And yeah, I have a quick question. What's the lifespan of that? What's the lifespan of that rate?
It varies depending on the, we'll say the condition of the existing surface. Generally, they say for a good surface where they can get a full CIPP on there, they say is up to 50 years, which is the full life expectancy of a pipe. I've had some where if you have like a cast iron sewer line and that cast iron pipe gets a little jagged, rigid, they go in there with cutters and they try and clean it out. But if they can't get a smooth finish of the liner in there, it may not last the full 50 years. So I would say they're the ones I've worked with at least, which is in situ form, they're very upfront about any of those type of situations. But again, it's a much more cost effective solution than having to relay and have to do another dig and bury pipe installation.
Okay, any other questions for Andy? Okay, any other questions for Andy? Okay, all right,
I don't have any questions for Andy, but I have a couple items to add on to what he's talked about that I want to make sure we get documented.
okay, do we need him on or?
No, it's up to him. I don't care.
Okay, Andy, I think we're done with our questions for you, so you can log off if you want, or you can stay. Rick has some questions for the staff.
Okay, I will leave it up to the council. If you feel there may be some benefit to me hearing the rest of the conversation, I'd be happy to. If you feel there's no need, I can jump off.
What do y'all think? Should we keep him on?
So if we can get rid of the feedback, I don't care. Yeah.
Okay, give us just 1 second. What can we do about the feedback, Gio? What's the problem?
There, it's when I mute, then it doesn't happen.
Oh,
okay.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Well, if you got a minute, then
okay,
we talk.
yeah, okay.
Two things, and Rich brought up, we really need to have a discussion about manpower. That's one of the
Yes.
things we, from a council standpoint, want Mike and Richard, for you to come back to Gio and say, we need manpower wise. The other, we need to take an action to go put the belt press on, get that
Yes,
Well,
I'll add
that-
that to my list.
Send it out, but I'd add that to the list. Those are the only other two items. The rest has got the rest of the list.
Yeah, because I think of any department, you guys probably need help. I mean, you're constantly battling leaks every day and backups and then you were out till 5 something this morning. Yeah, so absolutely, please get back with us on that. Anything else? Okay, Victoria,
Apologies, I arrived late. I had
That's okay.
surgery again Wednesday, so
Yeah.
of course.
we're so glad you're back.
I'm glad I'm back. This should be my last one for at least about a year. Oh my goodness. When you asked me about the ARPA funds.
Uh-huh.
I was uncertain as to it was a new project or previous one, but from what I take it was what we currently have taking place.
Okay,
So that is something that I have been researching, so that I may go ahead and classify those expenditures as part of the ARPA funds.
okay,
And so we did receive slightly over 1.4 million. And with this last application for payment, then we're down to slightly over 100,000 that would be available.
okay,
I will be reaching out to Andy because I need to know exactly where we stand within that project, if there are additional costs, and where the funding will be taking place from. So there's
Okay.
quite a bit of research that I'm doing just to make sure that we have this project covered.
okay.
And the figures will be provided this evening.
Oh, okay, great.
Because I was trying to look at that because I've been wanting to
Okay,
make sure the ARPA funds are covered.
good deal.
And
Thank
my
you.
recollection was we allocated 1.7 million to go do it, of which 1.4 million were ARPA, 300,000 was city budget. That's what I think the final, but you're
City
gonna,
budget.
Yeah,
you're trying to
yeah.
figure all that out now, so I just want to throw that in, so you got that extra.
Yes, thank you. That's very helpful.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn? Mike, Rich? Okay, all right, and with that, we're gonna adjourn the workshop. And y'all stay tuned for city council meeting at 5:30.
Okay.